Great to have you here
Welcome to the podcast.
with me and my guests from around the world. Welcome to the Simone Filer podcast.
Welcome to this podcast.
Let's get into it, shall we? On the Simone Filer podcast. Sue Lester is my guest today, known as the head trash removalist. Sue is Australia's leading expert in optimising unconscious blueprints. Sue's been a part of the Professional Speakers Australia Queensland chapter leadership team, and she's also won an International Small Business Woman of the Year award in 2017. For well over a decade, Sue's been helping successful women and men to shed the imposter syndrome, making them feel successful on the inside too. And I've been fortunate to have spent 4 days locked in the recording studio with Sue Lester, recording her fabulous audiobook, The Face Within, How to Change Your Unconscious Blueprint. Welcome this morning, Sue Lester.
Makes it sound like we've been in jail together.
Well, is that how you felt? I hope
No,
not.
not at all.
How did you feel about the recording process, Sue?
Oh, I was so excited because it was such a long overdue project. You made it so easy. You made me feel welcome and you're very encouraging all the way through. So yeah,
Excellent.
it was great.
Glad to hear that. Have you got any advice to authors who may be considering to narrate their work?
Practice so your words flow. Stay well hydrated because you can't talk with a dry mouth. And don't read the words. Actually talk to your audience, talk to your people. And most importantly, relax and have fun.
Yeah, excellent.
And that's easy to do with you. So.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, well, you certainly did a great narration. Your delivery was excellent. And I think that's a really good tip, being conversational, as if you're kind of talking to one person, although you hope millions of people hear your work. Now we'll get on to you, Sue. How did your journeys with behavioural change start?
Well, I started off my life as a teacher. So that's all about behavioural change and management. But this side of things, I started seriously studying in 2007, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And I loved the changes in myself. So I started doing it for me personally. And I found I was good at using the techniques, loved the changes. So then I moved into my own career business.
Why do you think that this form of education is becoming more prevalent now?
Well, NLP, as just one of the modalities I used, was developed in the late 60s, early 1970s. So it's a time thing, I think. People gradually become aware of the benefits, and it's just sort of, the old snowball getting bigger and bigger as it rolls downhill. There's certainly a high need, especially in 2020 with COVID and all the mental health issues that come with that. I mean, there's a greater awareness of mental health as a whole. So it's a whole combined things. And smart people start looking for solutions, and smart people realize that solutions start within you, not within other people. You can't lead others until you lead yourself effectively. I think there's quite a few factors out there, but greater awareness of mindfulness too. That's another side of clearing head trash that's coming to the fore. Combination of factors, but it's knowing that it's inside you, and what's inside you, you can learn how to change.
So true. So that kind of connects me a little bit to God, the universe, and spirit. Do you think when you're meditating, because I know you spoke quite a fair bit about meditation in your book, do you think you connect with the universe or God or spirit when you go into trance or meditate?
Well, I think the human race has got an enormous number of names for the same thing. And science has shown that at the deepest level, we're just energy along with everything else around us. So for me personally, when I'm meditating, I find I'm connecting to my inner wisdom, which is part of the collective consciousness.
Beautiful.
So depending on how deep I go, sometimes it's just me, sometimes it feels like I'm connected to something much, much bigger than me.
How often do you meditate?
Not often enough.
Amen to that. There's just not enough time. I wish I had more time to do it as well.
And there's different forms of meditation too. There's active meditation. So when I'm walking on the beach in the morning before work, that's a form of meditation for me. It doesn't have to be sitting down staring at a flame or whatever. And I teach my clients lots of different techniques, simply because meditation is self-hypnosis is a form of deeply relaxing you, which helps with your body healing physically and mentally and emotionally.
And obviously you probably agree that meditation or trance helps block out the mind trash Why do you think it is so important to block out that mind trash?
Rather than blocking it out, I prefer to actually change it, shift it, clear it, so it's no longer there. So you're not pushing it down, you're actually learning from it, finding out where it came from. And I use techniques with my clients to actually clear it out of the way so it doesn't come back again. And that's the work I do with people, is clearing the head trash first. And I guess you can think about it as clearing a blocked drain. So once you get all the garbage out, then the clear water, the thoughts, the creativity can flow easily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. Sounds good. One of the important keys that I actually took away from recording with you and listening to your work was the importance, first and foremost, of self-forgiveness. And I did say to you that this should be taught to everyone in schools. How did you first realise that this was the first thing that you had to do to be set on this journey?
I remember you saying that. I was taught a forgiveness process, which basically involved forgiving everyone who even looks sideways with you from birth through to where you are now. But what I found when I was working with people, some clients have just gone through such horrendous experiences and abuse that the behavior is literally unforgivable. And of course, forgiveness is not about condoning, but there's such a huge emotional weight that comes with some of the trauma that people have come through. And it's a thing of, it's happened, it's in the past, it's no longer happening, touch wood. So really the only person keeping it alive, the only person giving your power away to that perpetrator is you. So if you can forgive yourself for allowing that to continue to impact on your daily life, if you can forgive yourself for not getting help earlier to work through the trauma and get yourself back into a healthy mental and physical state, if you can forgive yourself for not being perfect, for not doing, or, forgive yourself for what you did or didn't do at the time, the incident or incidences, sometimes the case you were just too little, you just didn't know, didn't understand what was happening. And then there's so many different things that happen to people. But you're the only person keeping yourself in the pain right here, right now. So forgiving yourself for doing that and then seeking help to clear it is enormously freeing. That other person, the perpetrator, can rot in hell or burn in hell or whatever. It's really irrelevant as long as you take your personal power back and start being the best, happy, healthy you possible.
That's so
because
empowering.
That means you win. What they do is irrelevant. Having said that, little voice is saying to me, if you can bring them to justice through the legal system so they don't do it to anyone else, depending on what it is, well, yeah, absolutely, do that. But otherwise, forgiving yourself is a major step forward.
You've got an absolutely fabulous meditation on that one as well.
Yes, that was one of the audio processes I recorded when I was in addition to my book, because they complement each other.
Yeah, they do. That's a fabulous thing. If anybody wants to look deeper into self-forgiveness, then I highly recommend getting in touch with Sue and having a listen to that. It's amazing. So you also developed and facilitate the ANSWER, ANSWER transformational program. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, that's building on my mindset coaching and healing work. And it's all about helping you clear the trash from the past, head trash, learning techniques and tools to move you forward, getting clear about where you want to go. So ANSWER stands for awareness, because what you're not aware of, you can't change. So that's the first step. And realizing that you can actually change it. Neuroscience, so that's the modalities I use, NLP, for example, MBIT, multiple brain integration techniques, all sorts of fun things to play with. S is about solving and finding solutions for the past and the present, which then frees you up to find ways forward into the future. Then you get the excitement because you know this is it, no longer held back by all that baggage and head trash you've been carrying around. And then you see results. Because if you're not excited, you tend not to see results because there's no motivation to keep moving, keep transforming yourself and your life.
Exciting. This whole thing is exciting. You certainly do change the unconscious blueprint from beginning to end. And personally, you've had an incredibly adventurous life. You've traveled the globe. You visited places like Africa, India, and Nepal. What was the original desire to see these places?
Well, I think I was born with a travel bug. So my little unconscious blueprint of myself was of an adventurer, even back then. I mean, I've been fascinated by different people, by animals, different environments. And I think it came back to my grandpa used to get a National Geographic. He had a subscription. And when he'd finished reading the latest copy, he lent it to Dad. And of course, I was reading, I was just looking at pictures. I couldn't read at that point. But I think at that very early age, pre-reading, that opened up my eyes that, like, wow, there's so much going on in this world, apart from, the little country town that I grew up in. So once again, it's that awareness. And I didn't have a block that said I couldn't do it. So I just grew up thinking, yeah, of course I'm going to go to Africa to see Elsa the Lion. Of course I'm going to go to Peru to see Machu Picchu. Of course I'm going to go to England to see the Queen in her palace. Why wouldn't I? I wanted to, so I could do it.
Yeah, it sounds like a fabulous life. I was very envious. I was actually born in Africa, so I really do want to go back one day. Obviously, I hope the borders open up soon so that can actually happen. But yeah, your stories about Africa are amazing. Can you help others who want to lead an adventurous life like yours?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what I do. Because adventure doesn't have to be canoeing the Zambezi River, dodging hippos and crocs, or, trekking in Nepal up to 5,200 meters or whatever. Adventure starts within. So adventure is whatever gets you excited, gets your heart singing. So you can start by just doing things differently, getting out of your old routine, doing those things that you secretly always wanted to do but didn't because other people thought it was silly, or you had some belief that, oh, well, who are you to do that? No, you can't do that. You have to follow the rules about what sort of life you could lead or should lead. So, I've traveled the world and done all sorts of things, but, there's consequences, there's choices. My first marriage broke up because I wasn't ready to have children. I wanted to travel first. I don't have a great fancy home because any money goes into travel. I haven't had a steady career. I've chopped and changed, but that suited me personally. And I've always loved doing what I done. It's just when I stop loving it, I then move on. So that was how I knew I hit the jackpot with what I do now, because I got to the 5-year mark and I certainly wasn't ready to move on. And I'm coming up to the 13 years now. So, but every 5 years it's check-in, and certainly my business has morphed over that time. But, it's a good sign that I'm on the right track. So what I help people with is get their confidence and self-belief that, yes, you are allowed. Yes, you can design your life your way, and you are capable of doing it. So it's getting rid of the fears, and it's not about being outrageously stupid, and there's consequences. You want to do your due diligence. You don't want to just throw your whole life away and leap into a different way of doing things. That's not what it's all about. But it's giving yourself permission to make changes as slowly, as quickly as you feel comfortable with.
You've obviously, in the last 13 years, you've morphed and grown. You've also written your amazing book, The Face Within. What was the catalyst to write the book?
As much as I love my one-on-one mindset coaching and healing people, and that's my number one. I love that more than public speaking, more than running workshops, more than writing blogs and all the rest of that comes with it. But I can't work one-on-one with everyone. So writing my book, The Face Within, How to Change Your Unconscious Blueprint, was a way of getting, firstly, the message out about unconscious blueprints. And that's your internal image of yourself. And that can be empowering or disempowering. It can be as same as your chronological age or much, much younger. We have unconscious blueprints of other people too, and that impacts our relationships with them, whether we put them up on a pedestal or down below us. And, there's so many elements about that. And that's why I wrote the book, to share that, get it out to as many people as possible. Because once again, once you're aware of it, you can change it. And certainly in the book, the first few chapters are explaining what it's about, giving case studies and examples. And then the last chapter, I share a process that you can actually update your unconscious blueprint yourself. And you'll know if yours needs doing, if you feel less than grown up, if you feel disempowered with peers, if you're intimidated by people, or realize that you're quite dismissive of others. If your children say, oh, Mum, stop treating us like kids. You know, they're all signs that you've got unconscious blueprints of either yourself or others that need updating.
Or even if you start listening to the author narrate her book and a few tears come down your eyes when you first start hearing it, then you know that you got to have a little look.
Yeah, tears are a great sign. They're either a sign of releasing emotion or relief. You know, a little voice inside saying, oh, thank goodness she's doing something about it at last. So yes, always pay attention to tears.
Yeah, I think your book really gives clarification to the fact that you can grow, you know, that you can change, that there is hope, that there is another path rather than the one you've just been travelling on. So if you could pinpoint it, Sue, what benefit will people gain most by listening to your book?
Awareness of our unconscious blueprints and how they're actually running the show. Some people may or may not be aware that we have both a conscious and an unconscious mind. You know, the conscious mind is what we're thinking, what we're aware of. The unconscious does all of the work below deck. So, you know, growing your fingernails and your hair and all that automatic behavior that you do without even thinking consciously. If you think about your conscious mind as the captain on board your ship of life, and below deck is your crew, your unconscious mind or subconscious, depending on what you want to call it. If your captain and your crew aren't communicating effectively, your ship of life isn't going to sail smoothly. It's going to zigzag, it's going to stall, turn around, go backwards. So it's really important that communication is open. And if you think of your unconscious blueprint as the map, specifications manual that your crew are using to navigate your ship. So if your crew are using version 4 or 6, when really they should be using version 46, which might be your chronological age, they'll make very different navigational decisions. Because you think about how a 6-year-old or a 14-year-old shows up in a business meeting compared to a 46-year-old. You know, so there's behavioral patterns that are running there that are disempowering you, and they can be changed. And in my book, I explain about why someone may have a younger unconscious blueprint, much younger than their chronological age. So we go into that in there. So awareness that who you think you are now isn't necessarily who you are deep inside. You know, you're covered in other people's labels. You're covered in the muck from life's experiences. So being aware that underneath all those labels, underneath all that muck, there is a brighter, shinier you. So clearing the head trash away, clearing the labels off, that enables you to be the very best you possible. Because you don't want to be anyone else. You just want to be the best you possible.
Not a reflection of things you might have taken on board to own as your own.
Exactly.
You've already achieved all of this.
I'm still a work in progress.
Yes, we all are. What's next for you? Are you looking at writing any other books, or, well, obviously traveling's out, well, across Australia you can still travel at the moment, but what's next for Sue Lester?
All right, there's always lots on the agenda. Getting my second book, Answering the Call to Adventure, published and promoted this year would be fabulous. It's another one long-term coming, and of course recording the audio book for that one as well. And I've also got online courses related to the face within, how to change your unconscious blueprint, and also Answering the Call to Adventure in the pipeline being worked on at the moment. So they're my priorities. And yes, overseas travel isn't an option. Within Queensland, we can, well, actually borders opening up, fingers crossed. We live on the most beautiful country, continent in the world anyway. So you know, there's plenty of places to go explore while we're waiting.
That's cool. And you're coming from an expert who's travelled the world. We can all say, yeah, we do live in the best place on the planet.
We do. And don't use border and COVID and everything as excuses not to have adventures within, you know, your safe zone now. Don't put your life on hold waiting. You know, this is your life right here, right now. So you actually want to enjoy it within the parameters. There's always things you can do to light your adventurous spirit up.
Sounds good. Where can people get in contact with you, Sue? What's the easiest way?
Probably my website, which is suelester.com. On there's an option you can book in for a complimentary 15-minute chat about things that are bothering you, and we can discuss options, whether I can help you, how I can help you. If not, maybe I can refer you on to someone. LinkedIn's another good option. The other social media, you tend to get lost in amongst the thousands. So if you're serious about connecting, book a time through my website or connect through LinkedIn.
Excellent, Sue. Well, I really appreciate you coming in and recording your audio book with me, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. And I also appreciate you having a chat with me for my podcast, giving people inspiration to come and see you to change their lives for the better.
Pleasure, Sybil.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And my guests from around the world.
Thank you for being a part of this show.
The Simone Filer Podcast. Catch you next time.
It's a wrap.